Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Friday, September 20th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what ended up happening yesterday. We ended up picking up a nice winner with the Toronto Blue Jays team total over 5.5 as at minus 105 at Bovada, as we ended up winning due to Baltimore's terrible bullpen. Didn't look good originally. It was 0-0, I think, going into the fourth, or we had 0 runs going into the fourth. We had 2 straight home runs. Then Guerrero Jr. gets robbed of a home run, and then the floodgates open once Toronto got to face off against Baltimore's pitching, and they ended up scoring a bunch of runs in the 7th inning, and we ended up winning as Toronto finished the game with 8 runs. How's it going, Jeff? Thanks for joining us. So baseball's been pretty kind to us lately, and there are some college football games which I will give some leans on. There's one particular game that I'm very interested in, but I'm a little bit confused by the line movement. So I'm not going to touch it, but I'll definitely talk about it later on. But in terms of the play of the day, we're going to be sticking to baseball, and we are going to be taking the Cincinnati Reds first 5 team total under 1.5, which is available at minus 125 on 5 dimes. So the play of the day is going to be on the Reds first 5 innings under 1.5, which is available at minus 125. Now, how's it going, Divine? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Main reason why we are going to be taking this involves who is pitching for the Mets. And all of you know him by now as he is the defending NL Cy Young Award winner in Jacob deGrom. He has been as good as advertised, and he has done a really good job of this season, even though his record might not indicate it. He's 9-8, but at the same point, he has pitched extremely well with a 2.61 ERA. On the road, he is also 5-3 with a 2.53 ERA. And since the All-Star break, he is 5-1 with a 1.69 ERA. He's already faced Cincinnati once this year. It was a while back, but he did go 7 innings and gave up no earned runs. But the main reason why I personally like this involves the fact that the Reds have struggled against him pretty much in their entire careers, as the Reds' active batters have a 248 batting average and a 307 on-base percentage. And the one thing that you have to worry about when you take these team totals unders in Great American Ballpark is the home run ball, as that is obviously one quick way to kill your under. Well, it is worth mentioning that the Reds have 0 career home runs against deGrom in 117 at-bats. Now, of course, that's not fully indicative of what might happen in this game, as Aquino has never faced off against deGrom. But that's one guy, and the rest of the Reds batters have never homered off of deGrom. It's also worth mentioning that the reason why I bring that up is because the Reds aren't exactly built to score runs that are not via the long ball. As if you've looked at the Red statistics, they are currently 26th in the league in hits per game with 8.21 hits, which means they don't really get on base that much. They mostly hit home runs. And I think that if deGrom can simply avoid giving up the long ball, I think he should be able to limit the Reds to 1 run or fewer in the first 5 innings. Plus, Cincinnati is also 23rd in walks per game with 2.97 walks. So they don't typically get on base that much. And I think that they should be able to – I think they should struggle against deGrom in the first 5. Of course, I'm taking the first 5 instead of the full game because I hate the Mets bullpen, and the last thing I want to do is back the Mets bullpen in the middle of a playoff push, as that bullpen can easily implode in Great American Ballpark. I think deGrom should go at least 5, obviously, and I think he should end up giving up 1 run max. So for that reason, the play of the day will be on the Reds' first 5 team total, under 1.5, which is available at minus 125 on 5 dimes. Quick question from Jamal. The Mets' first 5 under 4 might be a play. See, the Mets, I agree that the Mets need all the games, and I think that is definitely a must-win situation, which is why I think deGrom will pitch extremely well. In terms of the offense, the Mets have played pretty well offensively lately, but then again, they also just came back from Colorado, which is basically an offensive cheat code, so I'm not going to immediately buy into all that. I thought about giving out the first 5 under 4 instead. But truth is, the wind's actually going to be blowing out to left field, and Castillo has been very solid so far as a whole this season. However, recently, I just think deGrom's the better overall pitcher, and I think Cincinnati's offense has been struggling a bit more than New York's lately. I know Cincinnati did win 2 out of 3 against Chicago, but I don't think they scored more than 4 runs in that entire series, and I think that with deGrom on the mound, who has a great track record against the Reds, I think he should struggle. If you've looked at the last couple of games for the Reds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have not scored more than 4 runs in a game in their last 6 games. I know that we got the 1.5 here, but as a whole, the Reds offense has definitely not been playing well lately. And I think with the backup Cy Young Award, I think with the Cy Young Award winner from last year on the mound, who has been pitching extremely well lately, I'm just looking to back him directly. Castillo's been a little bit inconsistent, so I agree with that. It is worth mentioning, though, that another reason why I do like the Mets team total under, the Reds first 5 team total under, of course, is the fact that it is in the National League, so you do have the pitcher batting. So you could have some situations where some runners are on base, they end up walking somebody with 2 outs to get to the pitcher, and I definitely trust DeGrom getting Castillo out at the plate. So yeah, it's mostly just because of the fact that I don't really trust Castillo with the wind blowing out, where I think DeGrom will do a better job of limiting home runs. I don't want to deal with Alonso. I think with the wind blowing out, Alonso could easily smash 450 feet, and you could easily lose that bet. So for me, I will take the Reds under personally instead of that Jamal. But if you want to take the under 4, you definitely could, as I think there could be some value on that as well. But I think there's more value on the team total under in that one for the Reds. Now, to switch gears a little bit, I will give out some leans for the football card today. First game we'll talk about is at 8 o'clock between Florida International and Louisiana Tech. Total has been steady at 51.5 pretty much the entire time. The spread has dropped from -8 to -7 for Louisiana Tech. And the truth is, I have no idea who's going to be starting quarterback for Florida International in this game. There were rumors it was supposed to be Morgan, who ended up missing the game against New Hampshire last week. And if he was not able to go, then they would end up using the backup quarterback. And there's a lot of uncertainty with regard to that, as nobody knows on whether or not Morgan's going to be able to play. He's been listed as questionable in some places, been listed as probable in some places, and nobody wants to comment on whether or not he will actually play. One of the problems of college is that you see teams that try to deke opponents and try to get them to prepare for multiple people. Well, the only problem with betting on that is that you have no idea who's going to be starting Florida International, and I will not bet on the game if I don't know who's going to be starting. So for that reason, I'm going to pass. Truth be told, Morgan is the starting quarterback. I think that he's a significantly worse quarterback than the backup quarterback. Backup quarterback possesses some mobility. He can run a lot, and I simply think that I can't really explain it. Florida International was a solid team last year, and yet for some reason, they were just completely useless in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, as they ended up getting destroyed by Tulane. They lost to an abysmal Western Kentucky team, and then they ended up beating New Hampshire. But in terms of their quarterbacks, I think Wiggins, their backup quarterback, is significantly better than Morgan. So I would actually feel more comfortable taking the underdog here plus the points if I knew for certainty that Morgan was going to be out. However, I do not know that, so I'm personally going to skip the game entirely. Next, you have Utah versus USC. Totals in bet up from 53 to 53.5, and the line has dropped from -4 for Utah to -3.5. Of course, I'm going to lean to Utah because I think that USC is an overrated team. However, it is worth mentioning that USC has not lost a home game to Utah since 1916. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Utah has not won in USC in 103 years, which is an absurd stat that I don't think anyone's talking about. So as much as I like Utah, I know that stat doesn't really tell you anything because of the fact that you have different players on the roster and all this other stuff. But if you haven't been able to beat this team on the road in 103 years, I think that might be some type of mental block there. So I'm going to pass on that game also. If I had to lean to one side, I would take Utah, but that stat blows my mind, and I'm just not going to touch it. And the late game here between Boise and Air Force, I will actually lean to the under 54. Very interesting late line movement going on in this game. 4 of the last 5 meetings have gone over the total. Yet this one was actually at 56 roughly 3 hours ago. And money has been absolutely pouring in on the under. It's gone from 56 to 53. There's 53 in some spots, 53.5 in some spots, 54. It was just at 55 at Bovada about a minute and a half ago and ended up dropping to 54. So a lot of money is coming on the under. I'll have to lean to the under, but based on the track record, that's definitely a dicey situation. But I will trust this line movement, as I personally think it is sharp line movement, and I think that Air Force will do whatever it can to keep time of possession with the triple option game. So I will lean to the under in that one. Don't really get that one, but I don't really know. Yeah, Carlos, first time what though? I don't really understand what you are referring to on that one. But just let me know what you mean, and I'll try to help understand what you just said. But other than that, though, play of the day is once again will be on the Cincinnati Reds first 5 innings team total, which is available at under 1.5 at -125 on 5 dimes, and that will be the play of the day. Before we conclude today's video, though, quick reminder of our sponsor, PointsBet, all in sportsbook in New Jersey. A couple of great deals for you. Up to 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. So if you end up betting on any sports and end up losing, you simply get your money back, which is a great promotion which more sportsbooks would use. In terms of baseball, don't really want to touch anything, as I don't really like anything on the card with the exception of the Mets game. But that's going to do it for this installment of Scott Selections here for Friday, September 20th. And good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.